I feel a bit like Bithead 1000. It's before 7 o'clock. Although he does his before like 5 o'clock. I don't know how he does that. But it's a Sunday morning. I was hoping to at least make it to daybreak on this Sunday morning, but I didn't. So here I am. The mug says how I feel. Humbug. Not because I'm not in the December holiday spirit, but because it's before 7 o'clock on a Sunday morning. And here I am. Now I can lay in bed, being mad that I'm not still asleep. I could put on some junk movie and hope that I nod off here in my chair. Or I could be productive and use the time, and I might as well do an unboxing video. So let's do an unboxing video. I have had my Black Friday, holiday, Thanksgiving shopping rolling in. A lot of online purchases. They're not all here yet, but we're going to go over a lot of those probably in a live stream, probably next week, the following week after this is uploaded. However, I did get one that we're going to pay a little special attention to because it's something I've been eyeing for pretty much ever since they announced it, which was maybe not quite a year ago, but earlier this year, like way earlier this year. And it came, and I did get technically a Black Friday or a deal on it. So what I got is the Hyperkin Retron 77 Atari 2600 gaming system. Emulator of the Atari 2600. Let's get it out of this plastic wrap. Now, I don't know, I may have mentioned this a few times before. Although I grew up on the NES was not my first console or my first gaming experience. My first home gaming experience was the original wood grain Atari 2600 Beast. And that's where a lot of my first home gaming memories come from. Of course, my fondest early childhood gaming memories come from the arcades. And I believe I was watching a Bithead 1000 video earlier this week or late last week. And he was talking about, I think it was Bithead, talking about arcades, machines were everywhere. It wasn't just going to the mall and going to the gold mine. Your mom could take you to Walmart, give you $1 in quarters because there's a Pac-Man machine or a Donkey Kong or a Centipede out front, a Mario Brothers, and just leave you right there. I remember there's the local IGA in Cairo, Illinois, which is where I spent the first few years of my life. I never really saw the store. They had a Donkey Kong that stayed, and then kind of a rotator, of other old games, Tempest, right there in the front. And, she'd just give me a few quarters, and when I ran out and she wasn't done shopping yet, I would sit there and kind of wait until somebody else came in threw in a quarter, then I'd watch them. And, of course, it was really awesome when you still had quarters left, when she was done. And, you hadn't spent, you were that good that day that you hadn't gone through all your quarters yet. I remember that, the local IGA, and then, where else? We didn't have a Walmart at the time. Walmart was in their expansion, but there was a Walmart in Charleston, Missouri. I believe that was my first time playing Mario Bros. Is the Walmart there. And it's right there in the front of the store. They had the double set of doors. You go through the one door, you go down this little kind of breezeway hallway, and there was 4 machines. The local bowling alley. What I remember about bowling is my mom put me in a winter rec league. Summer was Little League, Winter was bowling. I don't remember much about the bowling. I don't remember, doing good or bad or even who I bowled with. I remember playing the arcade machines in the bowling alley, getting those, standing in your crappy shoes and, playing a Tempest or, Centipede or, pole position. That's what I remember. And they always had like a one random like pinball table too. Oh, good times. And then of course that really went away. Um, yeah, but at home when I was out of quarters, I had the Atari 2600, and I really enjoyed it. Of course, being a kid, it was in Cape Girardeau, Missouri. We had moved there, and there's a store called Venture. I've never hear anybody talk about Venture department stores. Now to the point where I'm like wondering if I'm imagining this. I don't know where their area was. I knew there was one in the mall in Cape Girardeau, Missouri, kind of in the back. I remember like a black and white like stripe. They were kind of crossed, like black, white, black, white, black, and Venture. But when you walked in from the mall, you went straight back, and that was their electronics section. And same thing applied to the mall. My stepbrother and I were given like an allowance, or maybe given a couple bucks, and we'd always go to the entrance. Whether it be dropped off, because back in those days you can drop off your kids at the mall and then piss off for 4 hours and say, meet me here, right back here at 5 o'clock. Bye. No cell phones, or we're expected to check in. I could have been kidnapped and they wouldn't have figured it out until 6, 7, 8 hours later. Yeah, we go to the gold mine because that's where they dropped us off, and the gold mine was right by that entrance. And Raiders of the Lost Ark, Atari Warriors, Gauntlet. The first time you see Dragon's Lair, you're like, holy crap! Then you play it and realize it sucks, but it looks amazing. But when you run out of money, then you may browse the KB toys, the disc jockey, the Camelot music. Eventually, you find your way into Venture department store. And I remember the day going back there, straight back, and they had an NES set up running Mario Bros. Which, of course, versus Mario Bros. Was in the arcade, and I'd played it before. And to see what was pretty much the exact same game, it definitely looked the same, played the same. I mean, there's slight differences between Versus and the NES version, not very little. But to see that same game, and Duck Hunt, which was also, the Mario versus Mario Bros. Versus Duck Hunt were kind of like twin cabinets. I don't know how to describe this, but it was like two arcade machines, and they were kind of like this. Like, this was Mario Bros. Facing this way, this was Duck Hunt. They were kind of attached there in the middle. But you could be playing Mario Bros. Over here, somebody else would be playing Duck Hunt. There was like one machine, like kind of like like conjoined together in the middle. And we're sitting here playing quarters to play, Duck Hunt or Hogan's Alley, and here's the exact same games in running on a 19-inch, 15-inch TV, controllers in my hands, the guns in my hands, jaw-dropping. And of course, that was right on, my Santa list immediately. Nintendo. Of course, I can't imagine what my mom and stepdad were thinking at the time, because they actually watched the news. I'm sure they've heard about how Atari crashed and burned and video games weren't a thing, and there's no way you should spend money on video games because nobody wants them anymore. And here I am begging for a new video game when I've got a perfectly good one that I'm playing down in the basement right now. That's where our playroom was, in the basement. I think that's a good place to stick like 7, 8, 9-year-old boys, down in the basement. Um, Needless to say, we didn't get one that year. But because of that experience, seeing that literally I could be bringing the arcade games that I was seeing in the gold mine across the mall to my home on my TV, the old 2600 back home, just wasn't cutting it. It's hard to go from playing Super Mario Bros. Or Duck Hunt to go back. And we know Mario Bros, at the time, maybe today it feels so simplistic, but at the time, it felt like it had depth. You're going through levels, and each level's different, and some levels have different enemies, and and you compare that to like one of the better games on the 2600, in my opinion, like Yara's Revenge. Yara's Revenge doesn't change much. There's some slight differences, but you pretty much see it all after a few screens. Or another favorite of mine, like Berserk. Same thing. And plus, Mario Bros. Had a goal. You can beat Mario Bros. And I don't think you can beat Yara's Revenge. I don't think you can beat Berserk. You can beat Raiders of the Lost Ark or E.T., but nobody back then knew how to do it. Especially kids my age had no idea. They were just confusing messes. Like E.T. falls in a hole. Indiana Jones, you walk down and like pick up. Like they had goals, but we didn't know what they were. Mario Bros. Had a goal: rescue the princess, defeat the dragon guy. So and of course, compared to how Atari 2600 games looked. Amazing. Just absolutely amazing. So, yeah, I quickly forgot about the Atari 2600. I tried. I'd be in a video game mood, coming back from the mall or whatever, and I'd go down there and I'd pick up that Atari 2600 controller and play G.I. Joe or whatever. Just not the same. And I remember and I didn't know at the time, but it's because of the crash. I could take my $5, bi-weekly allowance that we got, and I could walk into KB Toys and walk out with like 2 Atari 2600 games. They weren't good games. They were horrible games. There was even a game called Name This Game. It was like some deep sea underwater submarine, and I don't. It was all right, I guess, for a couple bucks, but I couldn't was it so hastily thrown together that they called it Name This Game? Yeah, it was. It was like, fuck it, name this game. You do my job, kids. Of course, I don't remember there being like a contest, like send in what you think this game should be called, and you can win prizes, which would have been amazing as a kid. Like, holy crap, prizes! But yeah. So there was a time, like every other week, I'd go into KB Toys, buy a game with my $5 allowance, and then take the rest of the change in quarters and head down the gold mine. But man, it was really hard to pick up that joystick, that Atari 2600 joystick, and go back to playing that when a few minutes, an hour before, I was inside Venture playing Mario Bros. For free on a very similar TV. But Atari 2600 had some great experiences. I've mentioned a few of my favorites that I remember fondly. Yara's Revenge, Berserk. I liked the Asteroids version of 2600 a lot better than the arcade version. I could roll with the 2600 version of Asteroids. Yeah. Pitfall, River Raid, like my, baby's first shooter, man. I loved River Raid. What else? I remember Pac-Man sucking. I remember getting Ms. Pac-Man. My mom was lecturing me about something, probably being a fat ass, and telling me how much I need to lose weight and maybe play better with others. I don't know. And I was like, "Oh, I'm getting in trouble." Okay, she's mad at me for something. Oh, okay. She's like, "If you, Justin, if you do good, if you make these changes, you'll get rewarded with things like this." And she held up a brand new copy of Ms. Pac-Man for 2600, and I'm 6 years old or 5 or whatever. Going, and needless to say, she rewarded whatever she was lecturing me about right away by giving me Miss Pac-Man. She didn't hold on to it. I got it right then, and I remember the revelation how much better Ms. Pac-Man was over Pac-Man, because Pac-Man, notorious on 2600, is a thrown together hunk of junk. And it's so disappointing because, Pac-Man was the deal. They had an album out called Pac-Man Fever, which I owned. Pac-Man was the bee's knees. And to play it on 2600, it didn't even really resemble Pac-Man. The maps weren't even close to the maps. And, I don't think it's a stretch to say, I know that they were limited by the 2600 technology, but they could have done a whole lot better. And Ms. Pac-Man was a proof. Like, I have such great fond memories of Ms. Pac-Man. I thought it was better than it was, because I saw a screen. I'm like, the Ms. Pac-Man I played looked a lot better than that. But it didn't. That was Ms. Pac-Man, but that's what the revelation it was over the regular Pac-Man. Donkey Kong, it looked like crap, but played all right. I don't know. Oh, there's so many good games. So, when Hyperkin announced they were doing the Retron 77 to play the old 2600 cartridges, I knew HD nostalgia. How many nostalgia? Okay. But when they announced they were doing this, I'm like, yeah, I'm definitely going to have to get that, because just to go back and play some of these games, and it's not like you need a powerful computer to play the entire 2600 library if you want to emulate it. But, as a game collector, as a retro game collector, I thought it'd be fun going back and grabbing some of those old carts, and they're dirt cheap for the most part. There's a few exceptions, but a lot of those few exceptions, I never played. They have no place in my heart. The Pitfalls, the Yara's Revenge, the River Rays, the Berserks, you shouldn't be paying more than $5, and $5 is your top dollar, like, ceiling on paying for those games. So, I mean, a lot of the games I have right now, and I thought I had a few games, because once this was announced, I started kind of picking up. I didn't have any Atari 2600 games, but once this was announced, and I'm like, made a decision, like, I don't know when, but I'm going to get this. I started picking up 2600 games when I could, and I thought I had a few, and I just separated it. This bag is full. I don't know how many's in there, but I've got a whole lot. I remember the local retro store, Snow Day, and I'm sure it's in a pickup video if you want to go back. I was digging through and picking out stuff. He's like, dude, I can't move those. I'm like, I know, nobody, but, Hyperkin announced this, and I'm thinking about buying it, so we're going to get some game. He's like, it was like a box and a ton of games. He's like, I'll be honest, I'll sell you everything in there for $20. And it was like, 50, 60 cartridges, and there were a lot of duplicates in there, but that's how cheap it was. I picked up some on the Butte road trip. I've got some of these are part of the $5 game box. I don't know which ones, because I've already combined the 2600 games, so I don't know. I'd have to go back and watch the video of the Butte trip to remember what I bought in Butte. I think Yara's Revenge and Berserk were a couple of them. But yeah, I knew I was going to get this. However, when it was announced, or when they announced the price, the reason it's taken me so long to finally get this, because it's been out a few months, and there's been a ton of reviews and unboxings. I think Metal Jesus did one. I know John Hancock did one. I'm sure there's others. What was the price? They wanted $69.99 for an old 2600 player. And that just kind of shocked me that they're going to ask $70 for this, especially because the other Hyperkin thing I bought is this Retron HD NES. I think it plays PAL. Yeah, it plays PAL Region 2. It doesn't play Famicom, but this costs $40. And it plays the entire NES library. It's not, and it's hardware based, so it'll play Castlevania 3, where a lot of clone consoles don't, because those are software based. This is hardware based. And I did an unboxing of this, and a few people have bought this based on even though there's a lot of other reviews of the Retron HD out there on YouTube that are a lot better than my unboxing and quick review of it. A few people have told me they bought this, and I do recommend this. When I'm at garage sales and ask about old video games, I get a lot of, oh man, I'd love to go back and play those old NES games. And I tell them, I'm like, don't go get original hardware because it's unreliable. You go pick up at a pawn shop or whatever, there's probably a 50-50 chance that it's not going to work. It needs a new connection. This costs $40. Which is probably, unless you find it at a garage sale like I do, is going to be cheaper than what you're going to find an original NES from at a pawn shop or definitely at a retro game store. So as I tell them, like, GameStop has these, they're on Amazon, they're on eBay. Get a Retron HD, $39.99. Comes with a controller, which is very similar to an NES one, except for the little corners there. It has the same feel, and you can use old, like, NES controllers anyway. I was like, get that. Like, if you want to get back into it, get this. And this costs $40. So I was definitely put off by the $70 price tag. Like, why is this $30 more expensive than the one that plays NES games? And quite honestly, I still don't know why they charge $70 for this. Is it something about the Atari 2600? Is there more components? Are the components harder to, emulate and put together because the technology is, 7-8 years older? When was... Yeah, this Retron 77 was what... So 77 is when this was, like, the Atari. NES was what? 84 for us? I think it was 1984 for us. So, yeah. So I didn't buy this immediately. And it didn't help that, unlike the Retron, I think I ordered my Retron HD from GameStop. So that was nice and easy. I don't think GameStop has this up. Amazon didn't have it. My mom gave me some Amazon credit for my birthday back in August because I told her I wanted to buy one of these. And she's like, oh, is it on Amazon? I'm like, I'm sure it is. Other Hyperkin things are on Amazon. So for my birthday, she loaded up some Amazon credit for me to purchase this. Not there. And then I tried to do it directly from Hyperkin, and they were either sold out or the shipping was like $10. I'm like, oh my god. Finally, how I got this was eBay. I got it off eBay, and it was one of their kind of heading into the holidays. They were doing I don't know, it was a percentage off or whatever. And somebody was selling this for retail, $69.99. But I think it was 15% off, like a 15% off coupon that I took. Maybe it was a 20%, I'm not sure. So I basically just caught this with a sale. So I wasn't paying full price, even though I still paid more than the NES one. But I saved a little money, and here it is. So I love these boxes, man. Just a good job all around. So let's, nothing too special on the back or on the sides. So let me get my knife, my box cutters, and let's see what's inside this. I missed. That's what I get for waking up before 7 on a Sunday. I missed the little piece of tape when I got this box. Alright. Right there off the back, or off the front, they got the console and the controller right on top. Alright. So here's our system. Got the fake wood, just like a 2600. I think you can get it, not with that. A lot of buttons on the front. We have an on-off switch. We have skill, player 1, player 2. We have a quick save right there. Load. Reset and mode. Mode's important because a lot of 2600 games, especially games like Combat, had different modes. Like, way different, that you kind of cycle through. Or even like 4 different types of games. And on the original 2600, there was like a switch. You kind of 1, 2, 3, 4. So, very important. Nothing on the bottom. Let's compare it to side by side. Slightly taller, not by much. Very similar. In fact, I'd say about the same width and length. So slightly thicker, but very much very similar. On the back, we have a place for the micro SD. That's the power supply. It's USB based. We have an HDMI output. We have a fry button. I'm not exactly sure what this does, this fry button, but according to the John Hancock's, this is a big deal because apparently, I didn't know this as a kid. I never discovered this, but you can kind of like half put in a 2600 cartridge and it would kind of, bug the game out. And some games, like when you did that, like actually changed the game and made a whole new game. So for most games, this is just going to do nothing, but some cartridges you can fry and kind of mess up the game, mess up the colors, and it's kind of neat. You could change the aspect ratio of this button from 4:3 to 16:9. I don't know why you'd ever play a 2600 game in 16:9. I don't know. Color and black and white. That is another thing. A lot of kids had a 2600, but they were playing it on a black and white TV. Not everybody had color TV at the time. At least, they weren't using their primary color TVs for video games. They had the secondary old black and white from the 50s. You could play on that, Jimmy. And we have a memory little SD card slot. Is there an SD card in there? I think there is. Can I get it out? Can't get it out. Anyway, I know this comes preloaded with some like homebrew games, and in theory, you can put pretty much the entire 2600 library on probably a 2 gigabyte. Probably 2 gigabytes, probably even like overloading it. We get a little 2 gig micro SD card, and you can pretty much have the entire 2600 library without even owning a cart. Just put it on the mini micro SD right in there. I can't get it out for some reason. There's one in there, but it's not. Oh, there it goes. Oh my gosh. I'm going to put it back in because apparently I'm going to need some tweezers to grab that. There we go. I do know from other reviews that this isn't perfect. There are some 2600 games that don't work, notably Pitfall 2. And there's somebody, at least as of a few days ago, I don't know, either on Facebook or Craigslist, selling some old 2600 carts for $20, and one of them is Pitfall 2, and Pitfall 2 is worth like $16, $17 by itself. I thought about getting that, but it does not work here, so owning the Pitfall 2 cartridge is basically just to own the cartridge, because I can't play it on this. So that's why I didn't pull the trigger on that, because otherwise I would have definitely paid $20 for, I guess, just to have Pitfall 2. I think all the other games she had I've gotten that bag. But doesn't play on here. I can load a ROM on the SD card. Alright, Let's, what else is in this? Let's grab that controller. Alright. Let's just... There's a controller. A little bit different than the original 2600 controllers in that they made it for lefties and righties, whereas the original 2600, righties held it like this, and there was only one button. Now they put it so for you lefties out there, you can switch it around. They did say, and they put a warning on this, they promised to change it and upgrade it and fix it, but I don't know if the sales of this console are going to be enough for them to do this. But they said that these controllers, emulate the 2600 controllers so much that with heavy playthrough and whatnot, they will wear and break just like 2600 controllers did. So they said like I said, they said they're fixing it, but are they really? Are they really going to do a 2.0 Retron 77? I don't know. It feels smaller than a 2600 controller, but then again, it's been a long time since I've actually played with the 2600 controller, so maybe my hands are just bigger. So, yeah. Same connection, which, by the way, is the same connection on a Master System and a Genesis. So, technically, this would probably work on a Genesis. I don't know what games would play with it. Technically, I bet a Genesis controller would work on this. I don't know. What else is in the box? We have an instruction manual, and we have a box inside a box. Okay. What's in the box inside a box? Oh, got the connectors, alright. There's our micro USB cable. HDMI cable. And, alright, the plug-in. So, unlike, who was it that just recently released something that's powered by micro USB but didn't include the adapter? Who was it? I forgot. But kind of a shame. But okay, we've got that. And that's what's in that box. Alright. Let's hook it up. I'll stop this. I'll hook it up and play a couple games. Okay, while I'm hooking it up here, I just do want to say, as part of my review here, this HDMI cable is painfully short. Really short. So this is going to have to be really close to the TV to plug in anything. And the power cable's not exactly long either. And although I haven't unwound it yet, this looks like it has some length to it. But it looks like it's going to be replicating the old days very well, and that you're going to be kind of close to the TV, doing this. So just thought I'd throw that in. That's 3 feet of HDMI cable, so it's got to be right on that TV. All right, here we are. This is the screen. I thought it had like 20 preloaded homebrew games. I think there's 4. Baby, which I just played, it sucked. Mutcher 77, maybe a Pac-Man clone. Astron, Nexon 1. And I'm assuming license, license. Freely distributed hardware. This product uses freely distributed, so I guess this is open Atari 2600. Alright, let's just turn that off. River Raid. I'm not... does it go in? Nope. Goes in like that. Oh, goodness. Does it go in? Alright. Very springy. I gotta be smarter than the... Oh, okay, it does go in like this. Alright. So it goes in, label facing you. Turn on the power. There's a little light right here on the Hyperkin. And that's not good. I mean, I guess that's, you're using, what, in the late 70s, we're in 40-year-old cart territory. So, I never had to blow a 2600 cartridge before. I hope River Raid works. Like I said, this is one of my favorites. There it is. Alright. So, I guess that's an Atari 2600 game stretched out to 16 by 9. Let's play with the settings. There's the 4 by 3. Okay. Let's see. How do we start the game? Left difficulty. So this is changing difficulty by pressing the button above the controller. How do we start it? Okay. Don't want to save. Don't want to reset. Oh, pressing reset? Alright, reset worked. Why would pressing reset work to start the game? Oh, this controller feels stiff. Very stiff. Oh! Controller feels very stiff. Oh, I went right into the wall. Alright, so I guess we want to turn it off to remove. Remove's fine. Alright. What else we got in this bag? I will say this, really quickly. This thing's fine for what it is. I mean, I'm sure, like a 2600 controller, it will loosen up. The problem is, a lot of Atari 2600 games, especially like the racing games, paddle controller. Doesn't come with paddle controller. A lot of games are on Atari 2600, like Combat, like the game that came with it, better with 2 players, 1 controller. Now, this will work with original 2600 controllers, so you can go find the original paddle controllers. You can go find another Atari 2600 controller. I'm sure Hyperkin probably sells these extras, so if you want to get a second one of these, I don't know if they sell paddle controllers. Maybe they do. But the problem with that is, like I said, with the games, these are over 40 years old at this time. So, do you trust, some random pawn shop paddle controller? They're probably not testing it. They may give it a little wipe down. If you're lucky, they may open it up and clean it a little bit. But chances are, they're giving it kind of a quick wipe and putting it on their shelf for $5. So I think you're kind of taking your life in your own hands there. Let's find. Where is it? There. Pitfall. I'll give it a blow. I haven't cleaned any of these either, so God knows where a lot of these things have been. Takes a second to load up. That's definitely a difference from 2600 to this. Immediately starts in 16 by 9. You have to change it to 4 by 3. What happens if I fry it? Let's press this fry button and see what happens. Ooh. I don't know what the heck's happening. Fry, cart fry. There's the black and white button. I don't know if you can really see, but yeah, it changes black and white. I am going to have to restart this because... Alright. Just quickly, I'll run through Pitfall here. Well, I'll run through it and, see how it plays. Does reset start? Oh, I'm started. I'm going. How do you get off? Can I not press right on this controller? I can't. How do I get off the rope? Oh, pressing down. All right. Oh. Ooh. Oh. I thought I had it. All right. Oh. Precision jumping on alligator head. All right. I will say one of my bigger worries about getting this is gonna scratch a very quick nostalgia itch, and that'll be it. Like, I'll play a few seconds of Pitfall and then go, oh yeah, I remember how much modern games are so much better. We'll see. I may run through a few of these, but yeah, that's the Retron setting. I can't, like I said, cords are short, so I can't really pull it out here now and show you. The joystick cord is pretty long. It's actually fairly long. Yeah. There it is. Quickly, if you've made it this far in the video and you listen to my Atari nostalgia and watch that and watch me drink coffee on a Sunday morning, I do have some things, because as I was going through all the 2600 cartridges I have amassed, I have definitely amassed some duplicates, so guess what? We're adding some 2600 games to our 300 sub contest. When the channel reaches 300 subs, we're going to give away a big boatload of games to one lucky subscriber, and let's add some Atari ones to that. We got 12 of them. 12 2600 titles, and some of these I've got like 4 or 5 copies of, so I don't know what I'm going to do with those. But if you are the lucky winner once this channel reaches 300 subs, and if you haven't subbed, please sub to the channel so we can get up to 300 subs. And if you are subbed, thank you so much, and if you wouldn't mind, thumbs up and like the video. Circus Atari, the crap one, Pac-Man, bowling. If I remember right, this isn't a bad game on here. I remember playing bowling as a kid. Night Driver. This is one of those 2600 classics that needs the paddle controllers, as you can see right there. Needs the paddle controllers, and I don't have them. I'm not exactly looking, but I don't remember finding them anywhere. I don't recall seeing paddle controllers anywhere. Real Sports Baseball. I like how they have the Atari logo on their cap. Space War. I don't know if I've ever played that. Huh. I don't have Space Invaders, or Space Invaders was kind of fun, but I don't know if Space War is similar or not. Casino. We should focus on the cart. Casino, looks like you got, this is one of those things where you change the mode. There's Blackjack, Stud Poker, and Poker Solitaire. I don't know if Stud Poker can be fun, because Stud Poker is basically you get the cards you're dealt. You don't get the draw. So, here's your crap cards, computer one. The original. Combat. Tank. Tank Pong, Invisible Tank, Biplane, Jet Fighter. This is a fun title, but it's more fun with 2 players, so you need 2 controllers. Football probably sucks. Dodge 'em. Dodge 'em. Pitfall, or Pitfall Harry's Jungle Adventure. Does mine say that? Where'd it go? It does. I don't remember ever... I've never noticed the cart has like an alternate title. I'd never seen that. I didn't realize that. And an arcade classic, Kangaroo. Another arcade knockout from Atari. Kangaroo. Ironically, with this big bag of Atari 2600 games, I know there's a couple I'm still looking for. Jungle Hunt. Jungle Hunt was fun. And it actually was one of the games that definitely had a goal. It's easy to go through. Very easy to go through. But, yeah, Jungle Hunt. Space Invaders, I wasn't a big fan of the 2600 version because, like, your ship is really fat. Like, in the arcade, you're a tiny little pew, 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 but in the 2600, you're really easy to hit because you're thick. You're like the Kardashian of Space Invader, like, protagonist. All right, so there, 12 Atari 2600 games for one lucky subscriber. You too will need a Retron 77 to play some games. All right, that's my quick unboxing and testing of what, a neat little oddity now in my collection, because I don't envision spending a whole lot of time just playing 2600 games. But it is nice to go back and revisit some things like River Raid or Yara's Revenge or Berserk. I gotta find Berserk in that bag and play it before I unhook the thing. Thanks for watching, y'all. Once again, like and subscribe if you wish. I will see you soon, probably with a live stream of some Black Friday pickups, probably in a week. And take care. I'll see you soon.